district is planning a brand new idea for the fall and what's for the 2015 NED convention. It's even been called, it has a new moniker called NEDCon 2015 to try and make it sound cool and snappy. But what's essentially happening is the society, the staff, specifically coming from Marty Monson, our CEO, he has charged all of the district presidents with finding ways to gather more people at conventions, to create more of a fraternal, family-oriented weekend with greatly expanded social parameters, with even going so far as to include some sort of service work into the local community, which would literally be cleaning something up, or go clean up roads, or clean up garbage, or go to a soup kitchen, or do something with community service at the sites of the convention. And in that, they've charged the C&J community with trying to be a part of it. And Murray Phillips, our district president, has in his mind, he's had in his mind for quite a while to try and do a big mega contest for us in the fall. So as you're well aware, we haven't run any divisional contests this spring. They have all been suspended temporarily, with our eyes on October in Burlington, to have all of our contests happen at once, including all the division quartet contests, the division chorus contests, the district quartet championship, the district chorus championship, the international preliminary quartet contest for quartets going to, I believe it's Nashville next summer.
Yep.
I have to look. I think it's Nashville. Yep. Quartets interested in competing in Nashville. Our prelims are, in fact, in October this year. And the international chorus representatives as well, and senior representatives and everything. So it's going to happen. It's all going to happen this fall. It's a temporary decision. We're going to see how it goes this year. The board has not made the executive board has not made any decisions regarding the permanence of this idea until we can get to a debriefing position and find out how it went. If it goes well, I predict that this model will be, tweaked and it will be improved on for 2016. If it does not go well, the district will be in a position to make decisions quickly and either return to our previous format or modify somehow to see how that's going to go based on attendance and based on how our competitors feel this fall. So there are a lot of new changes coming, and that will all be detailed in the next couple of months. The district board has been having monthly conference calls about this, as well as a separate task force made up of people with a deep interest in making this new convention idea a success. So there's a lot of things that have been done already this year that have never been done before for our district in preparation for our fall convention. But there's a lot of new stuff coming. So, and I'll certainly open that up for questions if either of you guys have them. Dan, I suppose you might be typing your questions, yes? I will kind of watch for you there, sir.
Yes, you will. I have a question, sir. Of the 17 districts, are there others out there? I know there are others out there who do a single contest for the year. How many do you know?
There are. Southwest is doing it. The Rocky Mountain is looking at doing it. I know that Evergreen District has tried to look into that, but I don't think they're going to be able to do it based on geography alone.
It's a huge geography.
Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mid-Atlantic has far too vast a population to be able to do that. They could never operate this way. Land O'Lakes is looking into it. I believe Land O'Lakes is having a mega contest this fall. I'm trying to think of the other districts that have divisions. Far Western is modifying their contest somehow. They're doing some form of a mega contest as well. So there are 3 or 4 other districts that are trying it. We are not alone in our. We're not alone. I think matter of fact, I think the Dixie district is doing it as well. I think the Carolinas district is also trying it. So it's definitely an idea that's society wide.
Mm-hmm.
It's society wide. So
now I know
I do see Dan. You have a question.
Yep, I'll read Dan's question now.
Go ahead, Eric. Well, Dan's question, it says, I'm trying to have a hard time scrolling up on it here.
That's okay.
I've heard there are 2 rounds of preliminary quartet competition on the same day. Well, that depends. We haven't quite yet decided what we're going to do with the quartet contest in stone. I mean, the idea is pretty solid that we will end up starting Friday afternoons quartet sessions between 1 and 3 in the afternoon, which means we will be able to get 2 rounds, semifinal rounds in on Friday, from 1 to 6, 1 to 5, and then the break, and then from 6 to 10 or something like that on Friday. If we have to move one of the semifinal rounds to the morning on Saturday, depending on what happens with the chorus contest, then yes, it is possible that a semifinal and a final round would be held on the same day. That precedent has been set in a number of other places where they have large quartet contests and have a secondary round, a second round of Friday night semis on Saturday morning. But that is not our plan for this fall. I'm not sure if I answered your question, Dan.
I'm sure a lot of that's going to depend on the number of entries, right? And when is the CJ20?
Yes.
Are you moving that?
The CJ20 has a 30-day window where it has to be completed before that. We are going to open up the CJ20 application process probably in July, just to see how if people are going to respond early, people are going to respond late. It usually opens up sometime in late August, early September, so that there's definitely a month or more of time for people to register. But the CJ20 window will close, what is that, October, sorry, I'm walking around my house here checking that calendar. CJ20 window will close about September 17th or September 6th, probably September 16th. But we should open it, we'll probably open it late July, so we'll have, instead of a month of time, we'll have 2 months of time. So I predict somewhere around July 16th, I will open up the CJ20 process to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Jay Wiley has joined us. Welcome, Jay.
Good evening. How is everyone doing?
Terrific.
Hello, Jay. How are you, man?
Good. And you?
Good, buddy. All right, so Dan, you also said, sorry, I'm scrolling up here, the same number
of
judges as a typical October contest. Right now it's going to be a triple panel. We've had triple panels in the past. There were some double panels. But the odd thing about the size of the panel is the only deciding factor about the size of the panel is based on the evaluation process. Statistically, double panel, triple panel, there's no real difference statistically in the outcome of what a third judge in each category does for the contest. So there's no need to add a third judge to make the contest more fair from a scoring perspective. But our entire contest structure in the society is really based on how you run your evaluations, what time they are, how you do your elimination process, and when your contests begin. And the entire calendar of the weekend gets pushed around when it comes down to the evaluations. And we have, even if we get 50 quartets registered for Friday night, it's still not going to change our it's not going to change the need size of the panel. We'll be doing evaluations rather differently. They're going to be they may be 10 minutes long, they might be 15 minutes long. We're going to have a written option. We're going to have a no option for evals. and I may even I haven't had much luck doing this yet with Kevin Keller in the C&J community and the international level, but having a verbally recorded set of oral comments that are done in real time during the performance, and then your evaluation is simply being handed an SD card, and it says, here are your notes, thank you, and that's the evaluation. So it's really, that's what drives the size of a panel, is how many evaluations you're going to give and how long they're going to be.
I'd be interested to
hear. Does that make sense?
Other directors, sorry to interrupt, Kirk. I'd be interested to hear from you guys out there in the field how you feel about evals and what things you like about them most in terms of bringing your chorus to the evaluation session. I know that I love to have all my guys as present as possible for the evals. I know they get a lot out of working with the judges for 10 or 20 minutes, however long it is, to have, and for me as a director, to have someone else come in wearing a jacket and a colored name badge and say all the things I've been saying just in different words is very.
And everybody goes, oh.
It's helpful. It really is. As hard as it is for me to swallow, it's helpful for them. But I leave it to you guys. What things do you like about that, and what things might you prefer to see changed? Let's start with Russell.
Okay. Gee, thanks. Well, I always very much enjoy the evals. I find that's where we get, like you said, we kind of get free coaching on the spot from 3 different judges, often strangely about the exact same thing, which really isn't strange at all. But
yeah.
But we do often hear the same thing from all 3 judges, or something very similar anyway. But it's good; it reinforces things. So I always enjoy that, and like you said, Eric, I like having the whole chorus there when we can. I was about to say we're a little different up here, and I really don't want to phrase it that way, but being here in Sunrise, we actually are still having a division contest this year.
Yep, you are. And that was actually, that discussion came up from precedents that's already been set in the district with your distance and how that's always been a factor, even getting to a normal district contest, is that we haven't quite put in any sort of new mandate for Sunrise yet.
Right. I knew that, and we very much appreciate the fact that was taken into consideration, because otherwise we just wouldn't be at a contest this year.
Right.
Most of us, it's just there was that one year Halifax actually hosted district,
yep.
And lots of people came up and they said, "Wow, this was great, but we don't want to do this every year." But that's what we have to do to go to district contest, is that every year.
Yeah.
But,
yep.
Anyway, so we are having the division contest in May. It's a little later this year. It's the 3rd weekend in May. We usually have it the 2nd. But they also have moved everything. Normally we have our contest on a Saturday. They've moved it to a Friday. And St. John, New Brunswick is hosting it. St. John, New Brunswick is around a 4.5 hour drive from Halifax. So the Halifax Dartmouth choruses are about that long. Cape Breton is about a 7-hour drive. Kentville is about a 5-hour drive. And they're starting it at 3 o'clock Friday afternoon, or 2 o'clock Friday afternoon.
Yep. That decision was 100% based on what Andre Welland, the local chair, was looking to do with the contest.
I understand that.
It was against my better wishes, but that's, we're kind of letting Sunrise has kind of always done their own thing. So
they have. I think there are a lot of people in Sunrise who are on your side. I believe Cape Breton's not going. It's a 7-hour drive, so that means they'd have to go the day early and go at least halfway there and then finish the rest of the trip the next day, and they're just saying it's not worth it logistically. I think Halifax, Dartmouth, and Kentville are all going. Fredericton and Moncton will be there. They don't have quite so long a drive, but we'll see how it goes. But I know that they're hoping to do a whole coaching eval thing on the Saturday, not on the Friday. That's my understanding, anyway.
Yes.
A lot of guys are saying
that is correct. They're actually doing instead of like 20-minute sessions, they're looking at having 90-minute sessions with the judges as far as a rotating coaching matrix instead of a rotating evaluation matrix. So there's a couple of different things they're trying this year, and
I think that sounds
difficult to get.
But a lot of the guys are saying, I'm not staying all day Saturday just for that. When, if their wives are coming up with them, and what are they going to do all day while I'm sitting in these evaluation sessions or coaching sessions or whatever. So a lot of the guys are saying, we're not staying for Saturday. So I'm going,
that's a significant decision that I don't believe Andre is fully aware of. But anyway.
Yeah, we'll try to communicate. But I said to him in email, I said, look, I fully support you trying something new. Like, trying something different is great. I'm just not sure these are the right something different to try necessarily, but we'll see how it works.
When we get to the district contest in the fall, the chorus evaluations, we're actually going to run them in the judges' hotel rooms, exactly like we run the quartet ones, and we're not going to be able to have full chorus evaluations in the fall due to the timing constraints and the size of the panel. But there are going to be music team members, and there are going to be an allotment of people from the chorus to sit in on the evaluation session. Unless when we send that word out, the district is 98% in opposition to that, and we'll try and work something else out. But everything about the convention this fall is on the table when it comes to considering new ways of doing things. So if you really are, as a chorus, interested in maintaining some sort of full chorus evaluation potential, please send me an email and let me know about that so I can bring it to the attention of the board.
So that takes out really the chorus being able to sing and perform in front of the judges a component. Are the judges in their training and discussions going into these kinds of contests, are they changing how they do an eval in these situations?
Well, I think the change in the evaluation would necessarily be in the both the preparation and the presentation of the eval. Because they would still, the conversation topics, I believe, will be the same, but the way they present them as far as how to fix it and how they deal with it with the chorus may be different, because there wouldn't be an opportunity to have the chorus sing through it and hear that firsthand. So there was certainly an inherent drawback to this format when compared to a full chorus evaluation. But even on the best days, every chorus doesn't involve themselves in the full chorus evaluation process. And if we put it in the auditorium space, in the ballroom space where we're going to be in the competition, they can't be singing evals anyway.
Right.
The chorus would be there to listen, but they can't actually make any sound because there would be not 8 other evaluations going on around them. So that factor was what we considered when we looked at the room structure at the hotel, how we would do the evaluations, where we would do full chorus evaluations. The convention center really doesn't support having 9 full rooms of choruses for a rotation. And we were a little bit limited for that, so we're trying to be a little creative at the same time without completely eliminating the effectiveness of the evaluations for choruses.
Jay Wiley, did you have anything you wanted to add about evals?
Well, I was just going to say that I know the course finds them very useful, and as you've said, Eric, often you hear the same thing revoiced or reworded in a way that makes a light bulb come on for a lot of people. So they are very useful, but I also understand Kirk's point where we don't always get 100% participation in them because some people head out as soon as the contest is over. But if it's physically impossible to do, which it sounds like it pretty much is given the facility. I don't think you have a
Well,
choice.
Well, and that's kind of where, you know, we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to the dynamics of the facility, and in one aspect it's going to be an amazing place to have a convention. In other aspects, it's not necessarily the best place to run a contest. So
yes, right, yeah, those are two different events, really.
Right, and
well, I think if it's worded, I think if the explanation is that it's not just, you know, somebody's decided this, it's simply because here are the facts and this is the best we can do with it, then I would think that people would have to understand how it's being presented and go with it.
Yeah, and we're still looking at all of the aspects of the evaluations for the weekend. So it's still, nothing has been cast in stone yet. We have a lot of feedback still to go through. We're still trying to work with the designer of the audio designer for the weekend, the lighting designer for the weekend, because we quite frankly will not make the same mistakes we made in Providence this fall in Burlington. We will not make those again.
You're referring to lighting in particular?
The lighting in particular.
Yeah.
Which was
about that.
You remember the lighting in Providence, where it was almost completely behind the directors.
Yeah.
On a eye level with the competitors. So it was, some choruses had difficulty even seeing the director because it was nothing but a vague shadow.
Yeah, that's exactly what my
in the lights.
Yep.
Yep, that was being cast over their shoulders. So we can't have that happen again in Burlington. We just can't. So.
Good to hear that you're taking.
I'm assuming there's also a video specialist that'll be there as well.
Yes, actually, we have the Burlington Convention Center has their own audio, video, lighting specialists that are there,
right?
You know, for the sole purpose of helping conventions that come in, and they're working pretty well with us for this convention. But we're trying to bring in a separate audio person. By the name of Daryl Bornstein, who actually did the audio for the Society's international conventions from like 2000 to 2006. He worked with Tim Brooks quite a bit. He's a nationally known, you know, audio expert. So we're trying to make those two systems work inside the ballroom that we have. But we just can't have the same sound and lighting problems that we had in Providence, because it was in a word, embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for taking the time to try and rectify those issues. I know there were.
Well, you know, they're certainly on my radar personally as far as the contest itself goes.
Yeah.
The lighting bid we got from the hotel was significantly more than we thought it was going to be. So now we're end up dealing with, you know, the limitations of our budgets, and, you know, trying to keep the convention affordable and not jack prices up, and so there are a lot of dynamics that go into this, and we really are trying to listen to our membership. We're trying to build a convention that people want to attend. There's a cruise that's going to be happening. There's a huge buffet dinner that's happening. We're bringing in outside entertainment. There's going to be things for the ladies to do. I mean, there's a social aspect to this convention that is being planned that we haven't had in a number of years.
Yeah, I think that's always been one of the complaints that I've heard, is that it's always just been a contest, and so people just go compete and go home, rather than making it a convention where you get together and spend time with people. I think that. Yeah,
and like I said, you weren't on the first part of the call, Jay, and I had said that right down the logistical leadership ladder, right from Marty Monson, has been a charge to the districts to make conventions more fraternal and more family-based, with more events for people to go to, and have the contests be certainly important, but not, you know, we have to stop building our conventions around the contest model. We have to do it the other way around. We have to find a way to fit the contest into the convention the best way.
Within that event.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
Kirk, as a judge, you've probably been to every district contest over the years. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, I would. Yes, as a matter of fact, I have. I've judged in every district.
So more
Yep.
than the rest of us, and I'm wondering. I've only been to one other district contest in my lifetime. I wonder how social and fraternal other districts contests are around the society in comparison to the NED. Because I'm just sort of curious as a human if that's because of just we're New Englanders and we just want to go to our room after we're done or something.
Well, there is some truth to that, so we have to.
But Kirk, what do you think?
So they're going to go out.
Well, I think I've seen the schedules from all the other, when you get the convention, all the judges get the convention flyers, the programs, and we can see what's going on. And there are a few districts that do. Sunshine has quite a few social things that they do. Southwest has some social things. Illinois, the Illinois district had some pretty interesting things where they had social aspects and certain dinners and parts of it. As a judge, I didn't necessarily get to participate in all of them because my schedule was restricted to just contest events. And on Saturday evening, there was usually an official judges dinner function where a lot of the district leadership come to, and a lot of VIPs, if they're attending the convention, will go to that. But there are vast differences in the way the district conventions are handled with respect to social and fraternal aspects to it.
Yeah, I went to Seneca Land once years ago with my last quartet, and I was just flabbergasted at how social and welcoming everybody was in the hotel after. I mean, not just district-sponsored events to go to, but every room down that hall had a slow cooker and a cooler, and everyone was just having a blast. And there was no going back to your room and hanging out. It was a time to see each other and meet each other because you haven't seen each other since the last one. It was a grand.
Yeah. Hey Dan, I'm sorry I didn't see your question here. Half the course was performed, then got eval, then the second half of evals. Well, no idea has been taken off the table, and one of the ideas we did float was having 2 chorus rounds and evaluations in between. But we just from a pure amount of hours in a weekend, there just isn't enough time to do 2 separate chorus evaluation and contest rounds in one day. Even when the society did it at international and the chorus contest was 2 rounds, there were no evaluations to deal with. So you could start the second evaluation process, it's at the second contest round, after an hour or so intermission without any need to spread out and have 2 or 3 hours of evaluation time in the middle. But we've been doing just that. We've really been brainstorming any idea that has been, coughed up for us to look at with respect to how contests go. We even floated around a concept of having 2 concurrent contest sessions run simultaneously with a double panel on each one of them at 2 different locations in the hotel, and people could bounce back and forth between them. And then all of those 2 separate rounds would then be pushed into the finals on Saturday night, and how many CAs does that take, and what we have the space for, and how would it run. There's been an amazing amount of things discussed that, for financial reasons and chronological reasons aside, just are not possible in a weekend that essentially has, you've got 24 hours on Saturday, you have maybe 9 hours on Friday, and then maybe if you push something on Sunday morning, you could get 4 or 5 hours on Sunday morning. So, there's really maybe 48 hours in a weekend, but there really aren't a solid block of time where that would be required to do that. Even international gets to operate on almost 4 days of time to work with, and they still have a hard time getting everything in. But we really are trying to find, a different way to run this. We've definitely turned the apple cart over. Definitely.
Certainly lots to consider. Any other thoughts, folks, about the contest in particular before we move on to another topic? Cool. Well, Kirk, I've had lots of folks come to me in the past and say, "Hey, Eric, how do I find, how do you find arrangements for your group? I know, there's the list of published things, but
call Eric Ruthenberg."
Well, Eric Ruthenberg and Kirk Young are too expensive. So how do you find arrangers or arrangements that aren't published? How do you find those neat things? Talk to us about that, Kirk.
One of the best benefits I found as a society member is how the headquarters staff manages what they call the Old Songs Library. There are quite literally, I believe it's over 1 million separate copies of lead sheets and sheet music dating back from 1870, 1880, all the way through modern times. It used to all their paper files. Each one of them is individually stored, and it's one of the second largest libraries of American popular song, second only to, I believe, the Library of Congress.
Wow.
And yeah, when it was in Kenosha, when I was on the staff in Kenosha, all of those paper copies were all organized in boxes on these huge walls upstairs, and they were constantly being dehumidified and temperature controlled, and there were sprinkler systems around, and they were managed by a librarian, the old century, what used to be called the Old Songs Librarian. I don't know if that position is still called that now, but there are a couple of people who oversee the Old Songs Library. Now, in the library itself, there are also arrangements of those song titles that are there. They have a wealth of them that are in that catalog, and there are unpublished ones and there are published ones. And on the Society's website, it says, I'm not sure if I think it's under the Sing subheading.
Yep. While you've been talking, I've been navigating the web in the background.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Yeah, so
I'm sharing. Can you guys?
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. So as you do that, if you get to the top of that where it says "Get Music," you can see off the right side of that page. You can download the catalog. You can search the catalog, and just like he did there, where you search with my name, any of my arrangements that are in that catalog will pop up. You can search Tom Gentry. You can search Kirk Roos. You could search David Wright. You could search Brent Graham, Renee Craig, any of the Sweet Adelines arrangers that are in there, and really start to look through them. And they will send you for free preview copies of these arrangements to look for and to look through at your own leisure and send it back to them. A lot of them have learning files with them. There are a number of barbershoppers out there that are making learning files, not just Tim Warwick and not just Ryan Griffith, but there are dozens of them that are making high-quality tapes, I call them tapes, high-quality digital record,
You're old, aren't you?
digital files for people to listen to. You can, if you're ever in Nashville and you get to the headquarters, you can ask them for time to sit in the library, and you can go through all those million different song titles that haven't been arranged. Some have been arranged, some of them haven't, to start looking for music like that. If you look for a song title, you can on that page that Eric was on. You don't have to look for an arranger. You can look for a song title, You can look for a genre of arrangement. You can look for patriotic ones. You can look for religious ones. You can look for uptunes. You can look for ballads. You can look for songs that have rose in the title. You can look for songs that have, purple people eater in the title. Whatever you're looking for a show theme, you can actually search the titles for relevant grammar and relevant text for like you just did. See, there's a search for baby, and then you get all of those arrangements that contain the word baby in them, and you can start perusing that way to find charts. Some of them have searchable audio files that you can hear a snippet of it before you ask for a copy. Others don't. But the Society has an immense catalog of arrangements at your disposal as a director through as a benefit of your membership in the Society.
Very cool. And you can download, there's the search engine that's embedded into the website. You can also download, I don't know if you can see on the right-hand side there, Excel or PDF.
Of the entire library.
Yeah, the entire thing that's been updated sort of recently. If you download the Excel file, you can get into your Microsoft Excel, open that up, filter out all the ones that are, female arrangements, and now you're just looking at the male ones, and,
Yep.
sort them however you like, by arranger or difficulty or whatever. Very handy. Kirk, I just want to make one quick addendum to what you said. I just recently ordered single copies of things, so I know this to be the case. They don't do single copies for free anymore. They'll charge you the $1.50, but they won't charge you an arranger's fee if you're buying one copy. So say if
I didn't know that.
I'm charging $40 for an arrangement, they're not going to charge you $40 to look at one copy.
Right. I did not know that.
Huh. Many of them are.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah, many of them are available for straight download. Not all of them, but many are. So a lot of them you can have at your fingertips instantly if you've got a PayPal or a credit card or something. I saw a question from Dan in the chat window.
Yeah, I can't pull. So for some reason, this iOS app thing is not working really well. Something about 3 tags.
Dan's question: what are 3 tags that you think are really good to memorize all 4 parts of? Dan, I assume you mean to teach the chorus at tag time during rehearsal or something like that. What are a few tags, Kirk, that you think are good, quick successes to help our chorus learn our craft?
I personally like. There's a David Wright tag out there to the song "Friends." You probably heard that before.
Yeah.
And that one has a lot. There's a couple of suspended chords in it. It has quicker sections of where, a homophonic rhythm where they all sing the same rhythm. And then there are held sections where someone sings in between, so there are some legato points in that. There's some really interesting tuning things in the very end with major sevenths and half steps and whatnot. I think that one's pretty easy to teach. And it's a good training tool for duetting when it comes to the chorus. There's another I can't think of the word. If it was over, I know. Love's warm, sweet weather has turned into snow.
Yeah.
The loveliest time of the year is gone.
Yep.
I like that one a lot. Because of the scissors that happen in that one. Another one that's good with scissors is the "Lonely, So Lonely for You" tag. If you've heard that one, the bass part of that one goes, "Lonely, so lonely for you am I. Lonely for you am I." That one's a pretty good tag to teach. Jim Bagby taught me a really loud, short tag, which would be good for for tuning and balance. Why? It's the words are, "Why did you break my heart?" Eric, I think we sang that with the Joes. I think we did that at John Green's place. I'd have to write that one out for you. I could tell you numbers quick if you really want to write it down.
Well, in the interest of time, maybe we'll pull it up on the web.
Right.
I don't know if you saw there, guys. I pulled up the big tag book. It's on our webpage. Here's the URL at the top.
Look, more resources on the webpage.
All right. I'll throw that in the chat.
That's a free tag book too, isn't it?
Yeah, I just downloaded it. Right there.
Yeah, it's free, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I think that used to cost money, but now it's free.
Well, they were concerned about the licensing for a while. There's 3,000 songs in it.
Mm. Yeah.
Very good. Did I miss any other chat questions?
Yeah, there's one. There's the Dave. There you go. There's David's tag right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's relatively quick and some interesting.
Yeah, but you can see in that second measure, it's all quarter notes, and then in the third measure, there's a duet with some more sustained notes, and then in the third measure, the baritones are only moving, so you can work on long tuning notes and the breath support with those, and then some of the tuning in that third to last measure there with the major seventh and the baritone. It's kind of cool to hear that.
Indeed. Fun training your baritones to sing that major seven.
Yep. Well, and they get right up under the leads too. They're a half step under the leads as well.
Loving that. Any other questions for Kirk? Where'd my chat window go? There it is. Anything at all about the music category or coaching? How do I find coaches for my chorus? How often should I get coaching for my chorus? Should I get coaching for my chorus? Things like that. How do I find coaches for my chorus, Kirk? If I don't know names around the society or the district, how do I find a guy or a girl to come help my chorus out?
One of the best ways to start is to look through the judging categories and see if there are any. See if there's anybody in your region that may be a judge that may know someone. You may be able to contact them as a resource. There are some districts that have coaching guilds in them already, where the Mid-Atlantic District has a coaches guild that they have the names and contact information of people that are there. Most of the top performers in the society and in each of the districts have coaches that they work with. A quick phone call to, if you call the Harmonizers, they would tell you who they work with. But also, if you called the Concord, Massachusetts chapter, they would tell you who they work with. A lot of times we have untapped resources in coaches when it comes to Harmony Incorporated and it comes to Sweet Adelines that are in the area that may be able to help us out. There are a number of choreography people that work both on a national level and regionally in each one of the districts. One of the good resources in each of the districts would be my position would be the CRJ guy, the CJ guy, or CRD, or whatever it is, the contest fellow for each district. But I would also encourage you to talk to the Association of Quartet Champions membership. The NEDAC might be able to get you some ideas about who they've been using for coaching.
Great idea.
You may want to. What was that other thing? You may thinking about the contest site. When you get to the contest site, usually competitors will have coaches that are going through the rotation with them. If you wanted to ask, Timepiece, who they've been working with this past fall, they may have a coach with them in the rotation during the contest, the quartet contest, or Eric Ruthenberg may have a coach with him with Concord going through the rotation. That may be someone else you could speak to as well. And if you find a coach that can't work with you or doesn't have the time, they then would probably be able to recommend someone to take their place, someone they would know that you could move and contact second. But one of the best places to start is the C&J community.
What about local musicians, choral musicians you may respect but aren't necessarily barbershoppers? What's your advice on that kind of situation?
Well, I think you know I'm a teacher. To draw an analogy, I'm a teacher. I teach at a high school. Does that mean I can teach chemistry at a high school? No, I teach music. You get music teachers that come through and have understood a certain style of music for a long time. If you were to introduce them to a new style, like say barbershop, if they don't understand it, they may not be able to help you. It'd be the same thing as if you looked at that music teacher and said, "Here's a steel drum band. I want you to coach this steel drum band," and they've never worked with it before. So I would if you have a local music educator in your area that you may be interested in contacting, broach the subject with them gently, write them a couple letters, maybe give them a phone call, ask them, we're interested in getting some musical training. I know you're a choral musician in the area. Do you have any experience? Just a warmer, friendly interaction phone call with them to see, one, if they have any interest, two, if they have any experience with it. Because in some aspects of traditional SATB choral music, the breathing is the same. A lot of the physical constructs are very similar, but style-wise, when you get into different genres of choral music, you may end up with someone who is knowledgeable in how to sing Broadway tunes or how to sing deep Southern gospel tunes, and that style of singing with either thick vibrato or the tuning or how that may not fit well for what you're after with your coaching. But if you don't know what their strengths are, it might be hard to contact a local music educator. So I wouldn't avoid them, but there may be a way to open the dialogue before you commit to it, and they may love it. They may jump at the chance to be able to do that. But you gotta be able to find out what their strengths are. Like you wouldn't call me in to do dancing, so I would kind of laugh at you if you did that. So each person's going to have their own strengths. So I would ask that of that music educator.
Dan Falcone has a question. How do you get your chorus to notice you're doing dynamics with your left hand? I stop and remind them that I'm doing things, but any other ideas than that?
Yeah, stop moving your right hand.
Yeah, just do the phrasing.
Just do the phrasing. Don't move your right hand. Make them look at your left hand. Stop. Turn your head, look up, look away. Just do the phrase with your hand so they can't get any other signal from any other part of your body. No facial expression, no eye contact, no nothing. You tell them this is what it looks like. And then you start to add things back into that. But I would stop doing things with your right hand. That would be the first thing I would try and work on.
I might also, Dan, suggest you have them conduct also with their left hand. And
all the time. I love to have my high school kids conduct with me. I love to make them do that because they then get some perspective on what it means to communicate like that, to understand what the gesture means. To make them conduct with you is a great idea.
Nonverbal communication. Good stuff.
This is Jay here.
What's up, Jay?
Hello, Jay.
Of course, I'm assistant director with the Downeasters now, and we're trying to get ready for international.
Which I think is awesome, by the way.
It is, and that's kind of where I'm going, is that I can't quite read what the chorus is thinking as far as about going to this trip. There's parts of it that seem to be kind of a burden, the fundraising, the time spent trying to get ads and trying to come up with money and trying to figure out how to get ourselves out there. And I'm not sure how to help motivate them to sing and perform their very best. There seems to be kind of a wall that we hit every evening, which I'm sure most courses hit. But I'm not sure, are there some tricks, are there some things you can use to help push them beyond that wall and get them to maintain that energy and the the excitement going forward.
Well, let
Big
me ask you.
question, I know.
Let me ask you a couple of questions. Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that may be involved in it. Do you think is it a completely 100% physical fatigue issue? In the regard, maybe you weren't going to Pittsburgh, maybe you weren't. Does your chorus run into that kind of wall every night on a regular basis? Is it just?
No, I would say yes. I would say pretty much every Monday night there is a definite point when people just seem to be done.
So do you believe it's not Pittsburgh isn't necessarily the root cause of that? Pittsburgh is something you're having trouble getting ready for because the chorus is fatigued.
Right. I think that's it's a long-standing problem, at least for as long as I've been associated with the chorus. There just seems to be an underlying problem.
Excuse me. Does the weekly schedule for the chapter, is it always the same?
Typically, it has been. Yeah, there are scheduled breaks. There's a list of what songs are going to be working on and what part.
But for the most part, it starts off, we'll say, 6 o'clock early bird thing, 7 o'clock warm up, 7:30 repertoire, 8:30 break, business meeting, 9:30. Usually resembles something like that.
Exactly. Yep.
That's probably that may be the easiest way to get them to look at their evening differently. If they always know that after the break they get to have a drink of water, they get to have a donut, they get to sit for 5 minutes, and all that does is just shut all their bodily functions down. You may want to upend your rehearsal and try to run it backwards and try and change the schedule up to a point where next Monday night, instead of having your warm-up first, you jump right into working on one of the tunes and you turn your evening upside down and see if that does anything to them. Because one of the principles behind teaching in a 90-minute block like I do every day is that the kids, you can't get too predictable in what you're going to end up doing with them, because then once the routine is established that way and it's predictable to the point of exploitation, then you become less efficient in how the time is used at night. So the guys, it's a great bunch of guys. I know they're excited about going to Pittsburgh, but they probably see the first hour and a half of the night as when the work gets done, and they see the next hour and a half of the night as the time when everybody starts to everyone starts to kind of crash and burn. Does one person always kind of head the charge to crash and burn, or does it happen?
No, it's kind of I'd call
unilaterally?
It's a like riser fatigue mutiny is what it turns out to be. Just a large number of people just get really tired of being on the risers.
What are you normally working on when that happens?
Well, lately, of course, it's been our contest numbers.
Yep.
But often it's usually around the break at 8:30, and there's just been doing a lot of reps on a certain part, or trying to get a particular set of measures cleaned up, and so it's a lot of it is kind of the grind work of making barbershop work.
Yep. So if there has to be a way to change how they see the evening as basically one of your students, basically a consumer, and how your schedule can impact what they do first, what they do second. If you need to get stuff out of the way early, if you need to sit them in chairs for the first hour and make them sit in chairs and work on stuff that way, and then change it around, or you put them in chairs, you put you do all of the heavy lifting from 7 to 8:30. And then after that, you know that you're going to be cleaning stuff up in chairs. You're going to sit down that way. You're going to let them, so that, and then you end up switching that time around so that the time they're in chairs isn't the last thing at night. Then it's in the middle of the night in the week after, and then it's the beginning of the night, in 3 weeks. And you really try and add some variety to how you run your meeting and see if that has any impact. But beyond that, if the non-participation was based on a dislike of Pittsburgh, then I would consider having, a 10 or 15 minute, convention update every week where you put on a PowerPoint presentation, you talk about something in Pittsburgh, or you're bringing some entertaining stuff about travel, or you try and sway their mind about what's happened. You could easily set up a Skype conference call with Denver, or with the VM, or with the Masters, or with a huge chorus to say, hey guys.
Thought of that. That's an interesting idea, to reach out to one of the other.
And you could do a Skype meeting and have them be like, hey guys, great to see you, Portland. I'm so glad you're coming to Pittsburgh. Will you sing a song for us? We'll sing a song for you. Woohoo! The ambassadors of harmony would probably jump all over that, but I don't know what night they rehearse. So that it's all about routine, Jay. At least I say that based on my knowledge of spending every day in school with kiddos, trying to make sure that it's not, because if the routine kills them, it doesn't matter what you do in the routine, it's gonna kill them anyway. Right. Yep. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Because it's been baffling as to why the event itself would be overwhelming or overriding.
Is Fred still directing, or is it Jack?
Jack is the frontline director. Yep.
It's Jack, and they just may need a break from Jack. They just may need a break.
Well, and we often do that. I'll get out in front, and I've got a couple of songs assigned to myself. Fred does as well.
Yep.
So we have a variety of people out front, and.
But just try the routine, man. Try to break up the night. Try to be a little creative with who gets up in front of them, when they sit, when they stand. When do you really have to get the work done? Because if you need to work on choreography for 18 measures of a song, maybe the best time to work on that choreography is at 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. When everybody's ready to go.
So that everybody's fresh, nobody's burned out yet.
Yep.
Jay, what about?
Good. Thank you very much.
Jay, this is Eric. What about the songs you're rehearsing over the course of the evening? Are you just working on the 2 songs for Pittsburgh, or are you still doing repertoire and tag singing and quartet singing and anything like that program-wise?
No, the repertoire gets attention throughout the night as well. Of course, the contest songs are primary, but like I say, each of our assistant directors have repertoire songs assigned to us, and we were given a 15-20 minute slot to take and work the chorus with those songs, and we've got some new songs we're working on. So there's a fair amount of variety. It's just that the steam seems to come out of the group pretty quick, and then from there it's a struggle to pull them along, to try to find some way to motivate them to spark back up and present.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think, combining that with what Eric was saying, just look at your routine. Who does your programming? Who programs the schedule for the night?
Usually that's worked out between Jack and George Feinberg, who's our music VP.
Yeah. Oh, so Jack and George take care of that? Okay.
Yes.
Well, maybe George can let you do it one night. Maybe George can, maybe you can have a couple of different guys, start to get some ideas for that. Mm-hmm. Just try to break up the rhythm.
Right.
Jay, what about videotaping? Do you ever videotape the rehearsal and then watch it after?
Not on a regular basis. We do when we have coaching coming in. We often work with Steve Tramack, and whenever we've done that, I'll videotape that session and provide Jack with a copy, and then we try to get, if we can, we try to get some of it up onto the chorus website for people to review.
Yeah, it might
and
be.
We've done that. We've got.
It might be
we
very
actually have several
tape. Sorry, Kirk. To create a digital recording of the chorus from the director's eyes, and go back and watch it the next day and see if you can spot when and where and why, and dissect it that way too. Sometimes we're too close to it in the moment.
Right. Well, and of course, when it's, and again, I'm sure this is with all groups, but it's what I would term is all the stages of Dorian Gray. If you're familiar with the story of Dorian Gray, when I get up to direct, I've got everything from a smiling face that's energized, ready to sing, to somebody that's attentive and ready to sing, and somebody who's not quite sure what's happening next, and some people that are looking around, to some people just have this really angry look on their face. So I try to use a little bit of humor to get everybody back up to at least a pleasant level, but it's confounding as to, it gets hard to, I'm trying to treat them like adults. I try not to scold or, but I try a little cajoling to get them going, and often it helps. But again, within a few minutes, it's Dorian Gray appears again, and that's actually what I'll do in front of them. Sometimes I'll do a slow melt, and they get the point, and then come back. But again, I think it's habits and just what they're.
Do you put your risers? Do you put your risers in the same spot in the room every week?
Sometimes we're we rehearse in a church.
So you're a bit limited, yeah.
Yeah, all the pews are movable, but it's quite a bit of work. So a good bit of time is spent.
Do they still rehearse in Falmouth?
Yes, yeah, the Cumberland Baptist Church there.
Yep.
Sometimes we'll come in and there'll be an event going on or something, or the room itself has changed, and we'll take advantage of that and just kind of set up wherever it's available. But.
Well, so it sounds like you're certainly aware of the problem. A couple of small changes may help. A couple of small routine changes may help you.
Yep.
Well, let us know how you work out with that.
I didn't know if you had any tricks for motivating as far as keeping people energized. I know you're a very energetic person yourself, and so is Eric. And it's you create an atmosphere of energy when you're out in front of a chorus.
Well, and one of the other parts of that is the pace of the evening can also have great impact on whether or not people literally have the time to check out, whether you keep them involved, how fast does your evening run. I mean, are you always passing things off? Is there a lot of downtime in between, the transition between the singing and the business meeting and then coming back in your sectional? How do you pace what you do? Because that's one I learned that so long ago in one of my student teaching assignments about how pace is one of the best ways to keep discipline down in the class. It's one of the best ways to keep people interested. It's one of the best ways to maintain a sense of appeal inside the room when things just don't get bogged down to the point where people have time to check out. That might be another thing to look at is, how does your meeting, do you literally schedule the meeting by the minute, or is it scheduled by a rough, you have a half hour, you can take 10 minutes, you can have 20, you can have, or do you really stick to a good pace when it comes to how you present the night to the guys? Just a food for thought.
Right. Good, thank you.
You bet. I want to welcome a new person listening in is Ben out there. I want to open it up and see if Ben has anything to add or ask Kirk before we move on to some quick thoughts and wrapping things up tonight. Ben, how you doing?
Hey Ben, how are you, man?
Ben's the strong silent type, apparently. That's quite all right.
A pretty high tenor.
Well, does anybody have any successes from the last month they'd like to share? You tried something out, or you were struggling with something and you finally got past it, or anything like that you'd like to share? I know I have one or two that I'm happy to share with you guys, but I want to open it up first. I recently stole, let's see, Dan says we had a nice St. Patty's night. Tell us about that, Dan. You're going to type, so I'll talk and you type. But I recently stole,
hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, is that Ben? I heard you for 2 seconds, Ben, and then you went away. So I was recently up in Montreal coaching the South Shore chapter, and I stole a couple ideas that I saw them put to good use up there as far as learning new music. We had a couple of hotshot college music students in the front of the chorus as co-directors. And they're doing a great job helping the guys learn and practice differently. A lot of our guys as amateur musicians don't really know how to practice. And that's something these two guys as music students really recognize right off the bat. So that what they're doing is taking the learning tapes that they've purchased and distributed, and taking little problem parts of the songs, and say there's a little passage that's a challenge. They'll take that in Audacity or whatever sound program you want, cut it out, slow it down, loop it a few times, and now you have basically something you can distribute out to your chapter or your section that helps them with that troublesome spot. And you've got just a quick email away and you're done. I did my first one I did in Audacity, and I looped it and slowed it down. I learned how to do it in 15 minutes. And I'd be happy to share how I did.
Wow, that's a great idea.
It's a fantastic idea. You know, I never really thought about it, but they're right. Our singers really don't know how to practice other than, working with their tape over and over, maybe beginning to end, and then showing up on Wednesday or Thursday and having someone else help me with same. So I sent that out, and the difference the next week was palpable. So I recommend that highly.
That's a great idea.
So let's see. Dan had a lot of Irish trivia. St. Patty's nights was open to guests. There was a drinking game. They were all Irish songs. They taught an Irish tag. It was good to have a different rehearsal. And afterwards, after the drinking games, they went out to a bar. Very nice. That sounds like a lot of fun. I hope you got some guests and continued interest out of that. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Hey guys, I'm on now. Can you hear me?
Hey, is that Ben?
That's
Hey
Ben.
Hey Ben, how are you, man?
I did hear you earlier. I've been listening for a while. We were trying to get the kids to clean up, and I didn't want all that noise going into our discussion. So I've been quietly listening, but I did have a question.
Yeah.
I've been kind of on a sabbatical from directing the Waterville chorus for the last 3 months or so, as I am finishing up my master's degree in music education. 2 weeks from today, pretty much.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's been a labor of love, definitely. And I'm going to be back in front of the chorus full time by the end of April. And I was just wondering if we've had a couple of the Brunswick and Bangor directors kind of filling in for me, taking opposite weeks and stuff, and it's been a really good chance for the chorus to get some new perspectives and on direction and stuff like that. But I was wondering if you had any suggestions when I do get back up in front of the chorus kind of full time again for the first time, if you had any suggestions of a tack that I should take or anything like that, considering they will have been a while.
No, your sabbatical isn't because you lack skill. Your sabbatical isn't because you are, unprepared. It isn't because you had some sort of, well, it may be a little traumatic to pursue the master's in music ed. Trust me, I know. But there's nothing that would prevent you from, hitting the ground running. And just from thinking about the best thing they could get from you would be who you are, would be the routine, would be exactly what you want to bring to them. And I think the faster they get that and get used to that. Oops, Ben?
I'm still here.
Good.
Yep.
The faster they get used to that and the faster they see that, I think that they would benefit from seeing confidence and command and a refreshed, director in you, that there's no, it's not wishy-washy, it's not something you regret coming back. You're not annoyed by coming back.
Right.
That you pick them up and you put them on your back and you run.
Yeah.
Some of you guys may disagree with that a little bit, but I think you don't need to apologize to them. You don't need to treat them with kid gloves. If they've been having a great time with the other directors, then they've been having a good musical experience, and it'll be it might take 1 or 2 nights to get back in a great groove with them, but I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't treat the situation with kid gloves and be gentle with them. I'd be respectful with them, but I think you're a great musician in your own right, Ben, and I don't think you want to let them sense that you somehow lack commitment to the job, or you're interested in something else, or you're only coming back because you have to. I think you want to put all that to rest in the first 5 minutes.
Oh, hello?
Yep, we hear you.
I didn't hear what. I just lost Kirk.
Finish.
Oh. I think
Hello?
the thing we heard
You
from
need all
Kirk
the
is
raspberries.
muted now for some reason. There he is.
No, sorry, trying to make sure. There we go. No, Ben, I just wanted to make sure you know that I think you should come in with guns a-blazing and be positive and love them to death and have high expectations and make them listen to you.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Barry, who ate the raspberry?
Very cool.
I'm going to mute again.
That's funny.
Nice.
I love raspberries.
That's not on the agenda for tonight, though. What else is up there? So, if you haven't already seen the new district webpage, it's up there, and it's amazing. We have a new and improved directors location. I put the link up there for you to check it out. anydistrict.org/directors, and there you'll find links to all our past webinars and links to find me and to other resources we've got coming up. The Montreal CDWI is coming up next month. Very excited to be up. It's at the South Shore chapter. They have 4 directors who are going to be participating in the CDWI all in that one day. And the clinicians are going to be Terry Reynolds and Sean Milligan. And it's
I did not know Sean Milligan was a CDWI trainer.
How about that? They are coming to town. So I'm looking forward to that very much, especially since I was up there last month and seeing what they've got going on. It's a very exciting situation. And if you guys are at all out there interested in having one in your area, please do contact me. Any other questions for Mr. Kirk Young about anything and anything under the sun? He did promise me he knew his state capital, so if you want to quiz him on that, that's fine.
You're so funny.
Well, if not, that's fine too. Next month, we have Adam Scott from International, the International Office, our Director of Music Publications, is going to be our guest speaker. Adam was our instructor at the Leadership Academy. A lot of you went to that class and had a great time. If you missed that, you missed a fantastic session of just a mock rehearsal with Adam. And a lot of the things that we face as directors are fun to sit in the risers for a half a day and watch someone else, pace and choose what to do and things like that. Was that videotaped with Adam Scott? There were portions of it videotaped. I will look, Dan. But it was fun to be able to sit in the class and have someone else do all the teaching. And then at the end, we actually had a couple people came up. I think Russell came up and waved his arms a little bit and had Adam peel him apart a bit. Wasn't that true, Russell?
Yes, it was actually. Adam did drag me out in front, and what did I direct?
Yeah,
Wait till
the bruises didn't last long, right? The therapy's helping.
Yeah, yeah. The twitching has mostly stopped.
That's great. So I hope you guys can all come on April 26th and check out our webinar then. And 2 months from now, we have Terry Ludwig, director of the Sounds of Illinois, Top 20 International Chorus. Terry's going to be teaching at Harmony College Northeast on the director's track, talking about his philosophy of barbershop and directing and what it means.
And I did happen to see a great picture on Facebook today of Mr. Ludwig and Mr. Ruthenberg.
Yes, Terry and I are good friends. So Terry's going to come and talk about what he's going to be teaching this summer, and be here to pick his brain about what it means to be a chapter and a chorus, especially at his level, with being a top 20 chorus. Some issues that do come up, and trying to maintain fellowship and camaraderie and those social things that we all crave. How do you maintain that in a big chorus that's at that level? And can you? And do you audition and things like that? So Terry's got a lot to offer, and I hope you can come in May and check that out too. Last chance. I think.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Thank you for putting up with me.
Thank you
so much, Kirk. And thanks, Eric.
You betcha. Anytime.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Good night, gentlemen.
Bye.